As an economics teacher, my strategy is to make things as simple as possible and for you to realize that the diagrams that you are going to draw in this unit are all based on one base diagram. It's called the free trade diagram. But that free trade diagram is actually based on a diagram that you already know from your studies of microeconomics. And in microeconomics, there's two tensions: suppliers and consumers. And their behavior is mapped out on a diagram called the basic microeconomic diagram, okay? So if you are unfamiliar with the basic microeconomic diagram, here's what it looks like, okay? So the basic demand and supply diagram is a diagram that informs us about ways in which consumers, represented by the green line here, demanders, are motivated and how suppliers are motivated. And where these two lines intersect, where P1 equals Q1, yeah, where P1 equals Q1, that is the place where they shake hands, all right? So if you were a part of the microeconomics course that's part of the econ school here, we went through this diagram pretty extensively to understand how to build it. It's pretty cool because one of the things that I want you to realize is that, or remember if you watched it or if you didn't, like, here's the deal. Don't think about this supply curve as a line. Think about it as a series of data points. Boom, 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 boom. These are individual people, and we're looking at the market for corn. So these are individual suppliers of corn. Where? Well, in the domestic market, like say the United States makes corn. They grow corn, okay? So if you think of this line as a bunch of farmers, right? What this line tells you is that at this price level, that farmer can cover his or her costs. At this price level, that farmer can cover his or her costs, right? And so this is a collection of farmers in the United States, suppliers of corn, and what their minimum price is that they can accept and still keep the farm, okay? Remember that because it's really important. Because the way these stories unfold in economics is it's a story. And what this diagram is, it's the basic economic diagram. It has price over here. It has a currency. We're talking about the US, so a dollar. P1, the origin at 0. Q1, the quantity of corn, right? Thousands of bushels per year. That's a unit and a time frame. D1, always label it D1. S1, always label it S1. And then you have a title, which is Figure 1, Market for Corn, and in this case, in the United States. So there are actually 11 aspects here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, okay? Which I call the microeconomic rule of 11. So this is where the story begins. And it's important that you know that there's a story here and where the story begins, because all of a sudden, because this diagram actually assumes that there's nothing coming in from outside the country. This is just the US market. So the price quantity combination is P1, Q1. So what does that mean? It means that all of these farmers right here are what? They are producing corn and selling corn in the United States. You got that? Because it's important that you understand it. All of these farmers right here are able to continue to produce corn because the price level that they get is P1, and all of these people produce corn for less than P1. Hold that in your mind. Because guess what? The United States is about to open up its economy to corn producers who are not in the United States. Where are they? Anywhere else in the world that produces corn. And as a result of that, you end up with a new supply curve that is, wait for it, perfectly elastic. Dude, wait a minute, what just happened? Well, let's label that first, okay? This is going to be S world for the world supply. Now we have to make one adjustment, and that S1 up here is going to be S domestic. The next slide is going to clear this up so you don't have to suffer through my bad handwriting. Okay? But as a result of this, what happened? Well, the United States decided to open up to the world market. And as a result of opening up to the world market, guess what happened to the price of corn? it dropped to P1 because the world supply curve is always considered to be perfectly elastic, because these types of commodities are always sold on an international commodities market, the largest one being in Chicago, Illinois, in the United States, and they're established price levels. So that should say P2, excuse me. This level right here, P2, is the price of corn at the international market. Okay. So if that's the new price for corn in the United States, what happened to our farmers? Well, check it out. If the market is now operating out here, okay, start over. What happened? So P1, Q1 was being exchanged in the marketplace. Then what happened? Oh, the United States opened up its market to the world market, and as a result of that, now look at the quantity of corn that is being purchased in the United States. It's right here at Q2. Whoa, dude, wait a second. That's weird. Well, no, it's not. Because of the lower price of corn, all of a sudden, all of these people could buy corn, right? Because at P1, all these people, these are individual people, they couldn't buy corn. But now, since the price went from P1 to P2, they can. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's cool for consumers, but guess who it's bad for? It's bad for U.S. domestic producers because why? Because if the price of corn drops to P2, all of a sudden, all of these U.S. farmers, look at them, they're closing up their farms. They're going out of business. Yeah, they're literally losing their farm. Why? Because at P2 price level, guess what? That's Q3, is actually the quantity of corn now that can be produced in the United States. Oh, man. Hold on a second. Yeah. So when the United States opened up its market, the market price dropped from P1 to P2, which meant that the amount of corn, the quantity of corn consumed in the United States dropped, or expanded rather, from Q1 to where? Q2. But of this corn that's being purchased at P2 price level, this Q3 quantity, guess what? Only Q3 of that is being produced in the United States. So where's the rest of the corn coming from? The rest of the world, okay, across here. So what happened with free trade? It's very important for you to understand what happened with free trade, because these people right here are the only producers of corn in the United States that can do it for under the world price level, which is P2. The rest of the corn being consumed in the United States is coming from outside. And guess what? That means that all of these farmers lost their farm. And guess what's going to happen? You know it. The government's going to step in and try to protect all of these people, as they should, maybe, right? And keep the farm. Like, who wants their citizens to be losing the farm, man? You know, farms are romantic places. We all go back to a farm at some point. Maybe it's last generation, maybe it's 4 generations ago, but all of our families were once farmers, all right? So there's a big romance to protecting farmers. And as a result of that, you can see that if all of these domestic corn producers are now out of business, yikes, the government might want to do something to raise the price level of international corn, world corn, up to some place maybe up here, where these people, at least some of them, could keep their farm. Okay? So let's clean that up so you can take a look at that. There's the diagram that I just drew, right? And I named it P2. It can be P2 if you want. It can be PW for world. Maybe that's a little clearer. Maybe use PW. Yeah, PW, this is a supply curve world. This is a supply curve for domestic. Q2 is where the market's going to operate, right there, right? But Q1 is the only quantity of corn that's going to be produced in the United States. So it's a very important diagram. This diagram is going to really, you need to know this diagram. Like, if you don't need this, you don't understand what I just said, start over, go back, okay? Because this is the diagram that happens in a country, and then from here begins the diagram of a protective tariff. From here begins the diagram of a protective subsidy. From here begins the diagram of a protected quota. So you gotta know this one, okay? And I'm gonna add one last piece of the puzzle and we'll move on, and that's this. Do you see this area right here? That green box? The green box right here, you see that? This box right here, that is the total revenue of US producers of corn, okay? Guess what this blue box is? This blue box is the total revenue during free trade of world producers of corn. How do we know that? Because when we started at 0 out to Q3, where was that corn made? In the United States. From Q3 to Q2, where was that corn made? Outside the United States. So this is the revenue, blue, revenue for world producers. And the green here is revenue for domestic producers. All right? Hold on to that thought. If you don't know this diagram perfectly, start over, okay? Because I'm going to pick up right here in the next video where we look at the protective measures put on goods coming into your country. All right, we're rolling, folks.